This is session 13. Welcome. Hiya. I'm Chaz Schwaz, your training trail guide, your classroom concierge with Chad Jenkins of Blueprint Consulting. Just wanted to, at this point, we are at the 13th session, and I just wanted to highlight, looking back, what we've done. You know, we had the launch session with Dawn, which was great. We had Ryan and a panel on prospecting. So once again, focusing on the core competencies of selling as defined by UBA's education committee, then pipeline management and metrics, then time management and organization. And now we're in the middle of referral management. Next on deck is communications. So, and of course, the 3-session approach, which is quickly coming to an end. All the things in gray are what we did. We did Ryan. No, we did Ryan panel Ryan panel Ryan. And we did Chad panel with Chad, which was a great panel. And this is where we are today. What's coming up? Next week, we have Joe Moran of EBS, who was on the prospecting panel, focusing an entire session on how he uses and has used LinkedIn. Has a couple of you, right, Bill, and a couple of others went to, and Paul went to the Charlotte conference, correct?
Yes, I actually had the opportunity of meeting Joe Moran there as well. And he led the collaboration group and learned some more things from him.
Okay. And yeah, isn't he amazing?
Yeah, he had some pretty cool techniques, especially with, you know, the handwritten letters. I'm definitely going to try to start implementing that one. I like it a lot. So
he also has a fantastic accent too, so that helps.
I got to meet some of the guys too, like Paul there too, and Jeff Pesek as well.
Well, I mean, Jack, from my perspective, you know, whether it be appreciating your accent versus Joe's accent, it's really funny. Anyway, okay, so great, yeah. And then we have a session on employee benefit communication, some prospecting, yada, alternative funding. So this is really the RIPA roadmap, RIPA, the Reimagined Producer Academy. It's an FLA for a 4-letter acronym. Where are we and what's ahead? It's like a yin and a yang. We're halfway there. And this is really what we've been focusing on since the launch session, or the sales core competencies. As I said, prospecting, pipeline management, time management, organization, referral management. Next, the next half, the final half, is really broadening our portfolio with focusing on communications through LinkedIn and how you can really leverage employee communications around annual enrollment time, you know, benchmarking and compliance, 2 sessions on self-funding, 2 sessions on plan design, PEOs, you know, Jack from Tom of your firm. And then we end the final week with a week. Once again, you know, Chad's invited back for the last 3 sessions. We're going to close with closing. You've heard it from me before. I apologize for being so focused on this, but I really hope y'all can get your butts to Chicago for the fall conference, because part of what there's going to be a couple of carriers who want to say thank you to you guys. Now their sessions are upcoming. It's really with plan design and how to use voluntary benefits to supplement. And the other is on disability and dental and vision, which are very important in terms of the overall employee benefit package, but they're going to want to wine and dine you for lunch and one for dinner and cocktails. And, you know, I'm a hometown boy. I would love whoever. My promise to y'all is that if I can get a commitment as to who's going to come to Chicago, we can work on the time. Perhaps we can see a Cub game. Perhaps you can see a jazz club, see Lake Michigan. I'll figure out some way to make it enjoyable for you and your guests, but you got to let me know, and hopefully y'all can and I'd love to, if we have a critical enough mass, I'm going to try to get Ryan here and do a session of us all together. Maybe a half an hour, maybe an hour, just a debrief, just meet us face to face, something along the line. So I hope that's in your planning horizon. You know, funny thing about time flies, whether you're having fun or not. So better to learn and have fun and plan ahead. The last thing before I hand it over to Chad to bring us through some discussion today is that, you know, we really need to consider who's going to be the class MVP, most valuable participant. In the budget, we've allocated money, I think $750 as an offset for airfare, and like, I think one night at the hotel. I think the total the total cash value of the prize package is about $1,200, which will certainly be great for everyone's firm. But we as a group need to decide how are we going to decide, and then we can vote anonymously. So I know that Griffin gave me some feedback right in the beginning. Haven't, you know, on this point, you guys have all been crickets. So think about it and, you know, send me an email or let me know your thoughts. Okay. I'm going to hand it over to Chad, but, you know, I've sold at the small business level. I've sold to individuals. I still have a problem that I talk too much. I need to listen more actively. So always room for improvement. And with that, Chad, you want me to make you presenter?
Nah.
Okay.
I just want to talk to these beautiful people and let them talk to us. You know what I mean? When we, you know, this is the practicum piece of this. This is the execution piece of this. And I want to make sure that everybody understands, if you're going to go execute anything, just some of the key components of that, right? But most of all, I want to hear from each of you. And I want y'all to be prepared for this too. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We talked about 3 different ways that we could leverage referrals, right? One was a true intro model where we're going to reach out to our client and we're going to ask, or a center of influence, and we're going to ask them to introduce us to somebody individually, right? Really the gold standard in just as a little replay, just to get y'all's juices flowing again, right? The gold standard in asking for introductions is I'm going to figure out somebody that I want to meet, and then I'm going to figure out somebody that knows them, and I'm going to reach out to that somebody that knows them, and I'm going to say, how well do you know these people? I want to meet them. I've heard great things about them. And then you're going to ask them to introduce you to them, right? Because it'll just be better if they do. Right. And then we talked about what not to do in an intro, right? We don't want them introducing us as a broker. We want them introducing us as somebody that we value in our life, that you would too, right? That is what we need to be doing. Why? Can y'all tell me what is the problem with them introducing us as a broker?
They instantly get put on defense.
What's that?
They instantly get put on the defense.
About what?
We're trying to sell them something.
Well, possibly, absolutely. It's true.
Yeah.
What else?
They want us to be a quoting machine like the rest of their brokers.
It does possibly commoditize us when we're introduced that way. What's even the bigger issue, y'all, when we get introduced as a broker? It's the number one objection that we hear as brokers when we reach out as brokers. Even if it's somebody on behalf of us, what's the problem?
I already love my current broker.
Yeah. I mean, y'all, we refer to that as the most fortified position, right? Their most fortified position. I mean, think about this. You know, you take Griff's boss, Briggs. I'm just telling you, there's very few people in Lexington, Kentucky more beloved than Briggs. And he's making $100,000 commission on the other side of somebody trying to prospect his client. I mean, I'm just telling you, that ain't an easy thing, right? So the less it can be about being a broker, and let's reprioritize when that shows up, the better off we're going to be. All right. So now then, we also talked about not just an intro, but we talked about running the RUTA, right? What does RUTA stand for? Anybody remember what ROOTA stands for?
Referral out of thin air.
Referral out of thin air. That a boy, Justin. Good job. Right. And the referral out of thin air it works just like an intro on the front end, right? We're doing our research. We're loading our cannon. We're just not asking our client or our COI to actually fire it. We're going to fire it without them having to do anything, right? I'm going to be on the phone with Jack, and I'm going to be talking about somebody that I know he knows. And then I'm going to go, man, I think I'm going to reach out to them and introduce myself to them, Jack, based on what you've said. I've heard that about them. So I'll tell you what, if I need you, I'll call you, kind of thing, right? And then I go direct to that source and go, man, Griff, I just got off the phone with Jack. Man, does he say great things about you? I could leave this as a voicemail. And that's what's prompted my call to introduce myself. We may have even met before. I don't know. But I wanted to formally introduce myself. Feel free to reach out to Jack about me. I don't really want anything. He said you were amazing, and I've heard that. And so that's what prompted my call. Here's my call. We're trying to really put them in a box. We want them curious about who we are. The more this is personal, and again, going back to that comment I made earlier about prospecting as a lifestyle, y'all, the more we're just loving people, I know that may sound like a strange thing, but my financial advisor told me when I first met him years ago, he goes, Chad, the work I do, it's just how I love people. And I thought, man, that may be a little bit too mushy for some, but I got what he was saying. All the wisdom and knowledge that he's accumulated over the last 30 years, he's going to bring it to bear as we come to this. And it's how he cares about people. There's not a better thing he has to care about people, right? So that's cool. That's what we're doing with the RUTA. And even on the intro model, y'all, I shared with y'all that we don't, when they're going to be firing out on our behalf, I want you to meet this person because I know you both and y'all really bring value to each other's lives. Nothing more, right? Nothing more, right? So the RUTA is no different. But what are the two reasons that we talked about why I prefer the RUTA? I mean, again, I've known Briggs for 15 years. If he knows somebody that I want to meet, I could say, Briggs, call them, and here's exactly what I want you to say, and he would likely do that for me. But why might I not do that anyway, right? Why might I prefer the RUTA over? There's two specific reasons that I have migrated towards the RUTA instead of an intro model. Does anybody know what they are? Again, we're talking about execution here. This is the stuff that y'all need to really get, you know.
Was the first one that you were the one essentially doing the work, right? Rather than having to rely on that person and then it taking time for them to do that.
Exactly, Jack. I'm busy. You know what I mean? I've got a ton of clients. I have limited time to prospect. And when I do, I need to get on it. You know what I mean? So me, as much as Griff may have good intentions to, or Briggs have good intentions to reach out to Griff on my behalf, or Griff to you, as good intentions as they may have, things happen, you know what I mean? And I live in this perpetual state of urgency. I like to get it on, you know what I'm saying? As we say in East Texas, as I've said before, it's on like a pot of neck bones now, you know? But no. Jack's like, yeah, we don't say that where I'm from.
No.
Actually, everybody's saying that. So yeah, that's a good one. What's the second one? And we kind of just spoke about it earlier. We did just speak about it earlier, right? The reason the RUTA may work better than the intro.
The language that's just being used, even though it's,
yeah,
I think the tone and what you're setting the stage for, you know exactly what's being said. You control.
That's it. We get to control the message. I get to decide what you hear about me instead of even somebody that loves me with good intentions. Y'all, when I first started working with UBA, I did not know Dawn Brinson, and Dawn is one of those people that is spectacular that I've worked very closely with for many years. And she helped me build out a lot of the stuff that we do inside of UBA Producer Academy that y'all are going to be doing. We work side by side on building this stuff out. The guy that introduced me to her the first time said to her, and I was CC'd on the email, She didn't reply to all. Let's put it that way. She replied simply to the person that then forwarded it to me, but introduced me as his sales coach. And I thought, oh boy, everybody wakes up thinking they need a sales coach. I felt like they wake up thinking they need a new broker. I knew immediately that was a dead deal. You know what I mean? So then I found somebody else that knew her really well. And I said, I'd love to meet her. I don't suppose if I wrote an email that you would send it to her. He goes, yeah, you say what you want. And it was this was the email I sent. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine that you would love, and he would love you. And I want us all three to be kind of networked together. Y'all will bring value to each other's lives. He lives in your backyard. Y'all need to go eat lunch. Boom. She fired back to all. I'd love to meet Chad. Boom. See how different that is. You know what I mean? That's again, that's just a harder thing to control that message though, y'all, because people sometimes they feel like they need to share the context with which they know me in, right? Or you in. So that's why the rooter for me, I get to control the pace and I get to control the message. And then there was the third one, which was really how to harvest your client for referrals, right? Now, I may have some mental trash on this, but I believe when we simply ask our clients, who do you know that could use what we do, that we're asking them to do a lot of work, that even if they feel like doing it, the chances of us actually getting much from it is slim. I'm not saying that there aren't people that are really skilled at that, but I have to come up with things that everybody can use, right? That's just my role is to create a conversation that anybody can do. And so what I shared with y'all was this. Now, y'all are going to get to pick what role play y'all are going to do. Y'all can leverage me for an intro. Y'all can leverage me as one of your favorite clients to get a list of people from me that I think you need to know. You can run the rooter with me. You can do whatever you want. All right. I have a feeling I know which one you're going to do because it's probably the easiest, but y'all are going to get a chance to do that. I'll tell you why I want y'all to role play this in front of everybody even, because even a second time, you're 10 times better than you were the first time. And a third time, you're exponentially even better. You know, it's the weirdest thing, right? And it forces you to focus on things. But I shared with y'all this notion of the ideal client referral strategy, okay? And it's where I ask you to write down your favorite client, right? And then you write down, why are they your favorite client? What are those attributes about them that make you love them so much? And then you're going to reach out to them and you're going to tell them, my coach asked me to come up with who my favorite client was, and you are it, and here is why. And then what we want to do is say, look, if I had 10 clients just like you, I mean, professionally and personally, I would be over the moon. So, I know how to recognize those people when they come across my path. I do, but that's rare, you know? So, it occurred to me, maybe you know people that are like you, that because you like them, I'll like them. And because they like you, they'll like me. And I'm not asking you to introduce me to them. I'm not asking anything like that. I just would love to know, who are those people in your network that you value the most? I will figure out a way to meet them. All right. So, y'all, that thing that I just shared with you, that thing I just went through, I went through it exactly the same way as I did on the call 2 weeks ago. Now, what do you think I have done many times to be able to say that the exact same way, the exact way that I want to say it? What do you think I've done to be able to do that? Because people say, God, it just rolls off your tongue. I mean, I hear that all the time. Gosh, this stuff really rolls off your tongue. Oh, and that Texas accent, it just works when you do it. You know what I mean? Bullshit. All right. I'll tell you what, y'all, the first 8 years of my career, I was in the car with you, Jack, and I'm going to be running the meeting when we go on that meeting, and it needed to work. And it needed to be good if I wanted any longevity. I would lay awake at night and I would wake up in the morning kind of nervous and a ball going, God, it's too crucial for this not to work. So I wrote this stuff down and I kept massaging it. And I do that today, right? And so I think if y'all will do that, right? If you will start writing down your objections, if you'll start writing down how you want to run a certain play, if you will write that down and get it as close as you can, man, I think it will pay huge dividends for you. And what I'm getting at is there is a best way for you to do this that you're comfortable with. And if you will, it's going to really impact how you execute on this, right? And there's another piece of execution that we'll get to at the end, which is about measuring your progress. It's about setting goals and measuring progress. You're not ever going to execute well without documenting what you really want to do and start measuring those things that you need to be doing every day. And I'm not talking about turning that stuff into me, right? That's not my jam, right? We have a few people that do, but I mean doing it for yourself so you can look at it and eventually create this crystal ball, right? So, all right, enough of me rambling there. So before we get into the role play, though, I want to hear from y'all. You know, Charles told us what he loved about the panel. I shared with y'all my favorite parts about the panel. I want each of you to share with the group what was the takeaway that you pulled from the panel. Like Griff he's already asking his mentor for, hey, who are you tired of chasing down or don't have time to chase down? That's how you take this information and execute on it and make it work for you, right? So that was really good, Griff. But let's just shart. That was Freudian. Hey, I'd like to strike that from the record if we could. Let's start. We don't
have the room in the budget for an editor. So as they say, it is what it is.
Send it to me. I think Caitlin has the ability to put just a beep. All right. So let's just start up here with you, Bill. And then we'll work our way down to you, Paul, then you, Jack. That's how y'all are showing up on my panel. Y'all may be configured differently, but I've got Bill, Paul, then Jack, Allison, Amber, Elaine, Griff, and Justin, then Joshua, and then on down. So that's kind of the order that we're in to give y'all plenty of time.
So like I had mentioned from the conference, actually, Joe started talking about it here on the chat last time, the handwritten letters. I really like that idea, and leveraging LinkedIn and your mutual connections, second and third degree, and then not mentioning, who the connection is, just saying, hey, we have mutual connection on LinkedIn. I'd like to get to know you better. And then following that up with an email like a week later. And, he obviously elaborated a lot more in the conference, saying how he does it every 30 days until they finally reply. And he doesn't add them on LinkedIn until after he gets a message back and knows that they're communicating with him. And then that's when he starts doing the marketing towards them. So I really want to start doing that. And that's probably my biggest takeaway from that conference and then from the last week's meeting.
Did you say you really want to start doing that? Did I hear that correctly, or am I screwed up today?
I mean, maybe you got that in my head, but
you did.
I will.
You did.
I will say that audible hallucinations are much, much more common than visual. So if people say, I hear voices, they're not as crazy as anyway. I think
that's awesome. That's awesome, Bill. Those are great takeaways. I talk a lot about this prospecting effectiveness, this creating wealth. Joe has created wealth. All right. And Joe would tell you that his overall skill set compared to most people is he's great at a piece of this, right? He is truly genius at this relationship building and management and referral. He's truly, but that is his genius, right? He doesn't know the rest of it much. You know what I mean? But let me tell you what he's got. He's got an incredible skill set there. He's got this mindset. He knows he's electrifying, that people love him, right? He's everybody that knows him favorite person. He is. But he also has this cadence, right? People can get lost in his skill set and his words and not realize that it's his dedication to this cadence that's such a big deal, Bill. So as you progress trying to pull off Joe, that every 30 days thing, it could be by the minute with Joe for him to pull off what he's done, just FYI. So it's a good thing. All right, Paul, talk to us, Paul. You're muted. You're muted, Paul. You're muted.
There we go. I have to agree with Bill. I reached out to Joe, 8 weeks ago when he first came on the UBA panel and did some training. And I was very similar to what I've done in the past in my old business. However, there was a few things that he did. And I also learned a few more things from the conference this last week. And one of the things is that, again, when he reaches out to people, he works that network, but he does not ping them on LinkedIn until after he drops the card off, which I think is a very simple strategic play. I like the idea. What I've done since 8 weeks ago is I'm doing the thank you cards. I'm doing the personal note, but I'm also doing a drop off grab bag, which there's a little bit of value in there depending on who they are. But again, we wouldn't know who they are until we go to LinkedIn, until we go to the social media to understand who our audience is. So we have to understand our audience. We have to understand what they like you've mentioned, Chad. It's just, and the consistency of it is where it is. I mean, if we stay consistent with it, it's going to work. I've already seen it. I've probably gotten 8 appointments in the last month just by following his script. And again, I've tweaked it here, tweaked it there, but again, he has this, like you said, Chad, format, and he stays consistent. He may not be the greatest closer, but who cares? He gets the appointments. And if you get the appointments, you can work the law of large numbers, which I was taught a long time ago. But the thing that I picked up every time I get on one of these UBA calls with you, Chad, is the enthusiasm, the passion, the excitement. Because by you just talking to us this morning, it's already picked me up. The coffee hasn't done much this morning. You've helped, but again, it's contagious. I think we need to take the marketing strategies, and we need to be, when we're in front of people, we need to be contagious. And it's not Debbie Downer, as they talked about this week. It's about being passionate about your business, about helping them solve their solutions. And then you will start to create credibility. And
I love that.
Again, that's where I took out of it. So thank you.
I love that, Paul. And here's to build on that, y'all. I mean, so Joe started doing this and having success. And then the boys at Brio started helping them bang out that process. So if y'all need to meet the boys from Brio. And so little things like connecting on LinkedIn after sending a coffee card or whatever, all of that's trial and error. Because they were committed to this cadence, right? You build this skill set that is impenetrable because you're doing the work, and that all that stuff is intertwined. So such good points. I love that.
Well, 2 things. You're doing the work, but you're responding and adapting and tweaking, but you're maintaining the cadence, right? Over and over and over again until it's second nature. And, we've had a few of the Brio boys on. We've had Jacob Light. He was, on time management and another one. And Chad, our last UBA panel is going to be the second to last class. It's going to be on closing, and it's going to be with some of your buddies. It's going to be with Neil Retsutsky of Brio Benefits, who is a tremendous closer, as well as a little name by the name of Jason Dillingham, right? No, Jason Williford of Dillingham Benefits. So all these, and I'll let you get back. But you say about the contagiousness of passion. I have a Charlesism that says, if courtesy is contagious, negativity is infectious. So how we respond, and not only what we say. That's why, Chad, I love some of the subtleties of your running the Ruta. But to me, it's never only been about what you say. It's always the yin and the yang of what you say and how you say it.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
So anyway,
the other thing I want to mention real quick is I said this a couple of days ago at the UBA conference. We should never make a cold call. I mean, with the tools that we have, there should never be a cold call. Even if you are going door to door, plan it, strategize it, know where you're going before you go out there. LinkedIn is just such a valuable tool to us. Yeah. I never had that when I started in the insurance business 30 years ago. Now, I haven't been in the business that long, but I was in it for 10 years. And back then, coming out of college, I never had those tools. We had to go door to door and create that, find a way to create the relationship when we walked in their office. You look at their pictures on the wall, whatever. But again, you can always turn a cold call into a warm call before you ever go into that office setting. And that's by being prepared and doing your due diligence and your research.
Yeah, really good. All right, Jack, you're up, man.
Hey, so I'm going to kind of skip back because it was with regards to what Tara had said last week too. I also then went back and tweaked my 21 outreach with Ryan, and I tweaked it. In the last 7 days, I switched it to some larger prospects, to some smaller ones that I knew it kind of had in the back of my mind. So in the last 7 days, I got 2 BORs. That was just on, again, small, super small. One was like a 3 life case, the other one was like an 8 life case. But it was essentially low-hanging fruit that I knew was there, but I wanted to kind of put into practice the things that we had been working on. And I didn't really, again, it was kind of a situation where I knew this group was kind of in need of some benefit help because they were a relatively new company. And instead of me just kind of waiting and trying to go about it the right way with an upcoming golf event, I was like, you know what? I'm switching it. I'm going after them directly now. Just from Tara last week being like, just go for it. Like, you have to reach out. You have to start, you know, what's there to lose, like whatever. So I did immediately pick up the phone. I was like, I know, you know, to the gentleman, Ryan, I know you're a startup. I can help you with your benefits. Let's take a look. He's like, oh, wow, yeah, we really need to get the benefits started. Bang. I wouldn't have done that had Tara not been last week like, just stop the bullshit. Just go for it. Do it. Just that encouragement to do it. And again, I've been doing this a long time. All right, see, 10 years, but again, I've moved now to a different firm, whereas my old firm was way more about, oh, wait until the lead's introduced and warmed up, rather than me going out and doing that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going for it. And yeah, turn it around. 8 life case. Awesome. They're like, yep, you can be our broker here. This is what we want. Bang. So moving forward with a 5-1. So yeah, it was great. Really, really loved last week.
I got 2 comments on that, Jack. One is, it's interesting because I like how you took the different concepts from our different speakers and put them together in a mix that works for you, which is absolutely what this is all about. You know, pick and choose, find the right, and like we said, adjustment. And the other thing, look, let's be honest in front of the class, right? You wanted to reach out to the prospect now before you embarrassed yourself on the links.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. There's that. Yeah, definitely that. Yeah, God, especially after I played yesterday, it was not good. So yeah, you're absolutely right there, Chad. No, oof.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good. I love it. And hey, speaking of enthusiasm, how about Ryan James Miller? I mean, the dude will light you up. He texted me that he was at some benefit broker expo or something like that. And there's some friends that we both have there. And he, you know, he's sending me selfies. He's electric, man. I love that boy. All right, Allison, you're up.
Sorry, I had to get up for a minute. So what am I up to do?
All right, we can skip you and then you can come back. What I was saying, what I wanted to know is from the panel, what is it that one really stood out to you that you think is going to make a difference? And then secondly, what of it have you been able to put into practice?
Okay. Yes, if you would come back to me, then I will definitely share. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right,
I knew that would happen.
All right, Amber, Allison has put you under the bus. No, I'm kidding.
It's all right. It's good. Well, first of all, I just want to be Tara. So if I can be her, that would be awesome. But going back down, and this maybe have come from you more, Chad, than from the panel of last week, but just remembering why you do this in the lifestyle, you know, that's been said multiple times today and previously, but you know, being new, this I'll finish my 2nd year early August, so I'm just at the end of that. And being new to this industry, not new to people, but new to the industry, I was in my headspace about knowing and understanding the product to talk to people. It's like the chicken and the egg effect, right? You know, it's like you're going out and asking people, about one of their largest expenses or talking to them, yet it takes years to understand this knowledge. And so it's this headspace game in my head, am I worthy enough? Can I talk about this? Can we have a conversation? And in our community, it's not huge or large, but the benefits consultants out here, they're in good. I mean, it's hard. It is hard to make a wedge, even if you know everybody. I mean, they'll just say, Amber, I'm with so-and-so. And I'm like, okay, but if there's ever an opportunity, here I am, I'd love to help you. So, having that lifestyle change and remembering why I did this is what I get the most out of it. And, it's what I use to energize myself when, you've been told 10 times in a week, hey, my broker is so-and-so, her, she was a big volunteer for you. And I was like, yeah.
What could you possibly do for me that they can't? I mean, come on.
Exactly. So, it's just like waiting in the wings. There's a time where that person is going to have to, or will be interested in doing something else. And so it's just that lifestyle that I'm really focusing on and utilizing kind of a tweak on the Ruta. Just from living and being here and coming back into the community that I'm utilizing the Ruta. But it's really, you start that initial conversation and they are talking to you or they say something to you that they know, and you're like, oh shoot, I need to go and research that. How do I, it's kind of being on the fly. How do you have that conversation? And it just takes time. So I'm just trying to say, hey, the things I get to research and I learn a lot more on, and hopefully that continues to happen. So
yeah,
I also have a long customer service management history. And when people ask me a question that I don't know, my pat response is, that's a great question. Let me research it and get back to you, because that shows you're not a know-it-all. You'll do extra work on their behalf. And it's a perfect opportunity for a follow-up.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I believe in that 100%. But it's still, it can get tricky, they can.
Well, and look, Amber, that's a personality thing too, that a lot of us have. We want to deliver, right? You want to deliver, right in that moment.
Right.
And so what you just have to do, right? It's actually better for you anyway. Even those people that I coach on a regular basis that have $2 million books, I'm coaching, don't answer that yet. You know what I mean? Just say, you know what, I've got several different ways that can be approached, and I'm not sure which one's going to make the most sense. That we'll get there, right? Because you don't want to, we don't want to answer too early anyway. Just remember this on the early part. Maybe a different spin on what Charles was saying is this, oh man, yeah, Roger on my team, he's our analytics guy on my team. He's the guy that I'm going to go to for that, right? Then you're showing you're on a team. You have a role on this team, and it's not everything. Y'all have a really deep bench that has expertise at it. And I don't give answers on things like that around compliance, whatever, without them weighing in on it, just because this stuff changes at the speed of light. But if you will just be that, your role on the team is to introduce this stuff right now. And then it's just logical that you're not going to answer. It doesn't make sense because you got people that do that. Hopefully that'll kind of give you some permission to get out there. You know what I mean? So that's good. Hey, so why don't we, y'all, it's 10:52. Y'all want to take a break, drop off your morning coffee? 5 minutes? All right. So how about we come back straight up on the hour? That's like 6.5 minutes. That work? That'll keep it simple. All right.
Okay. See you soon. So Amber?
Yes.
Your comments, and thank you for sharing your comments, made me think of something Dawn had said about just the, rather than being, you were at the first session, right? You saw Dawn, the kickoff. rather than, you know, not wasting, but investing all that time to become a brain surgeon, you can still, you know, have a life and meet your friends for drinks at 5. I know that you can't do that, but I mean, you've got quite a young family that you're managing, right?
Yep.
So, and I think it's amazing that, you know, women can, I mean, I love women. I love, let me
Well,
rephrase
good for
that.
you, Charles.
I-
That's awesome, man.
Look, let me, and this is being recorded. I'm going to have to get back to, no. I love the fact that women can do so much. And I can't believe that anyone would do anything to not allow them to do their fullest. I think it's just ridiculous, but no, as they say in the biz, you go, girl. So.
Thanks.
Oh, Charles, you're funny, man. All right, Elaine, you're up.
Sorry, everything went blank for a second. We've got thunderstorms here in Texas. I'm new as well, just like Amber. And so pretty much everything you said, Amber, it's like ditto.
Yeah.
But for me, what I've heard that resonates with me is that everyone that's been very successful is capitalized on their strengths. So they figured out what didn't work for them. And that felt probably like going upstream. So they kind of got into a flow of like, oh, this worked. And they kept doing that over and over again. And so what my experience has been is that I know a lot of people because I was a former business owner, but I've not capitalized on my connections because it's a new industry for me. I don't feel confident yet. So I don't have enough competence to feel competent.
Yeah.
Or competent. So what I've done is kind of reached out to some of the other agents that have been in the office longer that I feel like are good with the details. I'm good at the big picture, but not the details. So if I can get an introduction and get some of my, connections on board, I feel like I'll be a little more bold and making the ask and doing some of the things. And I think referrals in my last business was what I was really, really good at.
Okay.
And
Good.
that to me is where I'm going to focus. And in fact, in my fishing career, just last week I made an ask, and they're a business owner, and so I've got something lined up with them, an interview with them.
I like it.
Well, talk about a special interest group, right? Shared interests. I mean, amazing. I mean, your picture is fishing, right? Hey, I noticed you have a fish on the wall. But the other thing that I wanted to comment, well, you had a very successful previous career. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm keeping something, in my pocket for a final. Do you really know who your classmates are? So, but there's a model of learning. There's either conscious or unconscious. There's competent and there's incompetent. And I love the fact that you are consciously incompetent, meaning you know that you don't know, because that is the key to learning. The worst of those four is the unconsciously incompetent. They are terrible at what they do and they don't know, they don't have a clue as to why. Right? So anyway.
I like it. Something else, Elena, that I thought of as you were saying this, and I was thinking of it as Amber and I have even had this conversation a little bit too. I'll tell you what could make sense. Okay. When I'm a little bit lost, okay. When I'm a little bit lost, when I lack that, and lost might be a strong word for what you're dealing with. But what I'm saying is when I don't have the clarity that I need to be as confident as I need to be and want to be, to really get busy, let me tell you what I do. I call the people that I know that love me, and I'm talking about my clients. I call my clients and I go, what's working for you? But you don't have any, but you've got old clients, right? And so I could see this being really a great thing. Go, look, I started a new career for specific reasons. I want to come sit with you. I want you to tell me, what do you love about it? What do you hate about it? What do you wish was different? You know, how do you know that you got everything in place that should be? What's the process that you go through, right? Just get them to download onto you. And if I'm you, Elaine, I'm not kidding. And Amber's no different because she's got this different background that leads her to the same place that you are. And which is she knows business owners and she cares about people, right? And then as that conversation starts to flesh out, you say, hey, look, let me tell you something we do. And it doesn't require us working together in a formal way to do it, is that we've got this really powerful benchmarking and performance capability. I'd love to take you through it. Let's see where you stand on this. And then the more information you can get from them around their enrollment guide and that kind of thing, you could start to build a better picture for them without knowing that much about them. And as a part of your benchmarking, you can have 8 to 10 questions that you can ask them. Hey, how do you know you're getting the best financial deal? What process do you go through that gives you confidence that you're getting the best deal? What are you comparing that to, right? You can start adding those questions in, and as their situation begins to dissipate a little bit, you know what I mean? Their confidence begins to wane, then you can bring your team in behind that. I just think that's a really simple protocol for somebody that's accomplished business-wise. You're there to learn, and the only reason I'm asking you is because you're one of my favorite people from the past, and I trust your judgment. You know what I mean? And then maybe you could have a conversation about if they're in a certain vertical. You could say, hey, look, I'm thinking about exploring senior living as a vertical. Do you think that's a good idea? Do y'all have associations? It could literally, you could build a research project that these people that love you would love to help you. Because my deal would be, if I'm Elaine, if I'm reaching out to you, it's going to be, Elaine, man, I know we've known each other for years. I need your help. Can we go to lunch? And then just tell them you've started this new thing. You're taking it very seriously. And you'd love to know from their perspective, what do they love about it? What do they hate about it? What do they wish was different? What do you believe in terms of what are the different toolboxes that really have benefited? Just start letting them download on you. It's going to lead to a benchmarking. And I don't mean just the UBA survey. Your benchmarking should be a bigger conversation, right? It should be. If it's really going to be good, you know, and remember a benchmark, maybe another word for benchmark is a comparison, but they don't have to know that. You know what I mean? Right. At the end of the day, nothing's good or bad except by comparison, right? Nothing. My little brother's 6'7" and was 265 pounds as a tight end at LSU. He was a big man. But he went there at the same time that Shaquille O'Neal and Stanley Roberts did, and they would find themselves in the line because all the athletes hung out at one dorm and one lunchroom. He wasn't big to those people. He was tiny. You know what I mean? So, but again, we have to understand people's situation. What a hey, and by the way, if you got $1 million book, maybe that's a great way to reach out to people too. I'm just saying we can lead with a whole lot of give a damn and intellectual property that leads to them telling us maybe we weren't as in a good a position as we thought. I just wanted to give that to you just in case. And if you want to reach out to me outside of this and unpack that more, I'll be glad to I'll be glad to help any of y'all think through that if you think that would be a help.
The other point to note is that, you know, I love to learn. It keeps me young. It keeps me active. And part of the reason I love this job, and I really appreciate being your classroom concierge, your sales Sherpa, your training trail guide, is that learning all the time, right? And I really love the way you guys are integrating different knowledge. But UBA has a ton of monthly recurring webinars, and sometimes they're on compliance issues, sometimes they're on wellness benefits. If you're licensed and you know you got to take CE, I just like to take courses that are, you know, no more than 45 minutes to an hour, that even Amber and Elaine, even if they don't give me expertise in the area, at least they give me a core competency. At least it makes me consciously incompetent. At least I know what I don't know. Anyway, back to you, Chad.
Thank you.
Anyway, you think, Elaine, that any of that could kind of help get you started? You know what I mean? And there may be only 2 people that you think of that you could really do that well with, but it could be the launch point to a lot of things, including them introducing you to other people and kind of thing. Just throwing that out.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Yeah, because that is something that I do have in my pocket, or friends with companies, and
exactly
other people with companies. So.
And they have a take on this. I promise you, their healthcare and all that comes with that. I promise you, they have a take on it. Good or bad, they've got a take. I promise you that will be valuable for you. But think about this, even when you're cold calling, just saying, hey, look, let me tell you what the CFOs or the business owners that we're talking to are telling us about their healthcare and what they're doing differently. I mean, man, there's a whole thing that we can do with that's really powerful and meaningful. And the more honest it is, the more serious you take that data, the more it feels right when you're talking to a prospect, when you're telling them people are turning to us for this set of problems. You talk about those problems and they go, well, hell, we're having those. Great. Let's go decide if we're going to work together or not yet. Let's set up another meeting. Let's get Fred in the room. Let's get your CFO, Cindy, in the room, and let's start roundtabling this, and we can get to a good spot. It's just, it's natural that way. And I think it'll be helpful. So.
Thank you.
Indeed. All right, Griff, you've already weighed in. Do you have anything else you want to add to what you learned on the panel other than poaching referrals from your senior people?
Sure, I'll be quick. I think I'm so glad that Amber and Elaine went before me, because I am also new to the world, and I think they asked great questions that I think that you and Chaz both, your thoroughness and your details you added to that conversation is really helpful for me to hear. Being a former teacher, and with actually Ryan's help when coming up with a warm or cold email to someone, of staying true to who I am and what my passion is, which is helping educating people. And now I can put that in that email or in the conversation with someone. And that has actually turned out to work really well with prospects. And people are liking that I was a former educator and in that world. And despite being new to benefits, they just like where my heart is at. And
yeah, I think when you hear educator, you hear calling, right? You hear something bigger than yourself. That's what people are embracing, I think, to put words to it.
I think so too. And so I would say the 2 other things that stood out to me, what Kevin and Tara said. Kevin was talking about getting coffee with CEOs, but not talking about benefits necessarily, but talking about how they found success in that business, and getting more understanding of who they are. And then later on, when you build that connection, trust, ask them about benefits and go through that process, but also ask them if they wouldn't mind to set you up with someone they might know who could be of assistance or like a second opinion. I started to do that as well with some of my centers of influence, to reach out to get coffee this week or lunch. And to add on, Tara was saying to connect with people who deal with money, such as financial planners, lawyers, CPAs. And I have a good CPA who is a friend of our family, but also he's my only client so far. But to connect with him and to see who he can see his Rolodex and who he may be able to put me in contact with down the road, I think is important, and leveraging that relationship. So I think getting referrals from those areas of influence, CEOs, people who are dealing with money, as you said, people who I know like me and care for me, will help leveraging those relationships, but add on to each other. And as a result, the prospect list is only going to keep growing.
Yes, indeed. That's good. I like it. I like it a lot. That's big takeaways right there, man. All right, Justin.
Yeah, I had so one of the things that I wrote down from that last webinar that we had with those 2 was loading your gun, but you don't necessarily need to fire it.
Yeah.
right? So kind of not necessarily asking for the introduction, maybe for a week or two later. That was something I took away that I really liked. Obviously, I have a buttload of notes of things that are good, but that was one that stood out with me that I really did like. And one thing that I've been able to put into practice. So we actually had a meeting with a client yesterday, and we were having a conversation on, you know, amongst our renewal meeting, we started talking about work site benefits, and then that led into a conversation on the impact on their workers' comp, which then turned into a conversation being able to get a referral for one of our work comp partners. And so
Love it.
massaging those relationships and being able to
Yes.
get referrals, right? It was obviously a conversation focused on benefits, but it led to just something on work comp. I poked and prodded a little bit. I'm asking if they'd be open to meeting someone. And so I'm going to be able to throw a referral to one of our partners. So yeah, I mean, it was something that I took immediately. We had it yesterday, implemented it, and now we're able to help out one of our guys, CROIs.
I love that. And by the way, you know, nothing better than an EB guy sending a P&C guy a lead, because they don't think that happens. All right. You know, if y'all are in firms that also have P&C, man, the better you can get at running leads their direction, that they will appreciate it. I promise you. Because man, oh man, oh man.
Well, it's great because we don't have a P&C, we're just EB only. So we don't have P&C. So
Yeah.
he's the type of guy that he doesn't
Great.
have an EB guy, right?
Oh
So
man, that's huge.
right.
That's huge. Huge.
I'm sorry, the yin and the yang.
I like it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Joshua, are you with us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of similar to Griffin, Amber, Lane, been in here coming up on 2 years in August. Something that, resonated with me though is when you're talking about referrals, to, not really lead right away with, hey, this is a benefits guy, just kind of getting that organic conversation going before, you bring all that stuff up, because like you were saying, it can kind of turn people off right away and just make it look like you're out to just ask for something and not really trying to build like a genuine relationship.
Yeah, that's good. Really good. Really good. I think too, for me, my clients are so intertwined into my life. We spend so much time with them that, man, it is personal. It really is. And, and I know y'all's is no different based on how much you let that happen. Now I let somebody embrace me probably first. When I sense they embrace me, I'm all in, you know what I mean? So, but that's good. Abby.
Hello.
¿Qué pasa?
So very similar to, I think, a lot of people on the call, also new to this role, coming from just the corporate HR setting and now on the other side of the table, which is unique, but to not repeat too much of what's already been said. Tara was fantastic. Loved her enthusiasm, her being new, or kind of doing a career change into, sorry, my animals are also in the background. So if you hear squealing, that's what it is. But just hearing about her career change, and she kind of just had that no BS mentality, just went for the things that she wanted to go for.
Yeah.
But one of the things, and I can't remember if we talked about it at the last panel or at some point during this, or if I heard it somewhere else, but not falling into just being another quoter, not being part of the quoting game. They're going to be getting quotes from 3 or 4 other agents than you. So to kind of fall back on the services and what you can do differently, and leaning into that HR background and being that compliance focus and doing things of that nature, kind of just changing that mindset from just solely sales, I think helped a lot for me.
I love that. It's such an important thing. There's this guy that I follow on LinkedIn, and I don't have no idea why. No idea. I really don't know him. But he is on. He said on his LinkedIn post, he says, "I don't quote insurance, I audit it." Now he's a P&C guy. I'm not saying I even like that quote. I'm saying he has this belief that if I audit it first, it'll be so much more valuable for you than if I quote it, right? And that is a fact, y'all. We lead to the quote way too quickly and all of that. So I totally get it, but it's just another little paradigm shift for you. You know what I mean? This idea, I audit insurance, I don't quote it. I study it. I look at it first. You know what I mean? That's really, really good takeaways, Abby. So Jennifer.
Hi there. Obviously last week, Tara is amazing. The Art of Being Candid by Tara is something I'm taking away and really rethinking, you know, how I talk to clients and just setting expectations at the onset. In regards to some of the folks that have really helped me a lot during this class, it's Ryan Miller. You know, just being more targeted. I've been in the business for about 4 years as a 5 years as a full-time broker with 2 different firms, but his process of being very targeted in who you're going to prospect, I think sometimes I get excited and I have too many things, you know, too many verticals, too many. And he's helped me really narrow that down and target it. And then just really being focused on being consistent in that 21-day process of actually talking on the phone, then sending the email, etc. As far as referrals, I mean, the whole Ruta and how you're approaching it is very cool. I feel like a lot of times I'm working with referral partners because I did start a small referral group with a CPA, 401k, and an HR consultant, which is working really well. But a lot of times people don't understand how to refer benefits. I mean, they don't, and I'm learning that you can't ask them to do that. So, you know, setting up a meeting just to meet someone because you want to meet them, bringing those 2 people together and creating that relationship between the 3. Hadn't done a lot of that. So I'm excited to do more of that as I move forward. It's really helped me redefine how I'm going after referrals. So
I love that. And think about this too. Just what if you truly believed, I don't know if I want to work with him. I don't know if it makes sense to work with him. I have no idea. I don't know anything about him. What if you really believed that? How much better, how much easier this would be for your introduction source to know that they're not introducing you to somebody. When you say, I just want to meet you, who knows where the conversation goes? I may be introducing you to your next favorite client. Who knows? I'm out there on the streets all the time. I've heard good things about you. Let's meet. I mean, that is just so much. It's better in so many ways, you know? I love that takeaway for you. I really do. That's exciting.
Thanks.
All right, Allison, y'all totally got off the hook on the role play. Totally got off the hook on the role play, but I think this has been much better conversation anyway.
It's a very smart audience. They knew where it was going, and they're
texting each other. String this thing out. Oh, it's good. It's like I was doing an event with the Marshberry guy years ago when I was at Marshberry, and he's a technical guy, you know, on the M&A stuff, on the banking and all these slides. And I mean, we were all sticking a pencil in our eye if we would have had access to one. And at the end of it, he asked if there was any questions, and I'm behind him going, yeah, like if anybody asks a question, and everybody else is like looking around too, like whatever you do, don't ask a question. At the end of it, we're walking out and he goes, man, I must have killed it. I'm like, really? Why do you think so? He goes, not one question. Anyway. All right, Allison.
Okay. Thank you for letting me come last, I guess. So the things that stand out to me the most are, like she said, don't take this personally. They're not going to remember that they didn't want to talk to you if they didn't want to talk to you. And also just like the referral thing and going out to lunch, you know, she would rather go out to lunch all day than make cold calls. So, and I don't remember if it was in this group or if somebody else said it to me last week, but just the more you're out talking to people, the more successful you're going to be. And it's all kind of lining up with where we are at. Abby's with me on this too, where we are at in our training and expectations in our agency. So like, I have scheduled several networking lunches, kind of like what Griffin was saying, like, I'm going to meet with a business owner / CEO in the coming weeks. And I'm just going to ask him, like, you know, his business is relatively new also, but it's looking to be very successful. So like, I'm going to ask him a lot of questions about that and try to get some referrals, from him. And then also, of course, pitch my idea to him directly too. I don't know who he's working with. And just meeting with other people who do some, you know, consulting kind of work, so that we can maybe work together to share ideas and referrals. So like, if I can help one of my friends who's doing consulting, hopefully she can do the same for me, like, you know, we can collaborate and share referrals. So just getting that, I have so many, I think it's natural, but just so many hangups about, oh, they're not going to want to talk to me, they're not going to like me, and maybe they're not, but like, they're also, it's not personal, it's really not about me as a person, and that I can help. So all the things that everybody else has said, that just it really does stand out in my mind, and so it's been very helpful.
Yeah, I like it. One thing too, I've noticed it about y'all may have noticed this too. Ryan and Tara are a lot of like. That they're do the work. You know, you got to do the work. You got to get out there and do the work. Stop not doing the work. Just get out there and do it. They're both, they have those personalities too, I've noticed too. So kind of maybe common success factors.
You know what it's like? It's like, I can't believe I had the opportunity to scuba dive, you know, in Hawaii. And I actually saw a sea turtle, and I got video. So maybe I'll post that. Yeah, it was unbelievable. But it's like, yeah, the water's going to be cold. Just jump in, you know, you'll get used to it. Just do it. Just make the mistake. Just feel. I had the pleasure when I worked for Anderson Consulting. They had their new manager orientation, people all over the world, because Anderson Consulting now rebranded as a center offshore anyway. And it was at the Georgia Dome, and they had Steve Bartkowski throwing you passes. They had a jousting thing, and they had a gymnast who did the pommel horse, which was the only gymnastic event that I competed in high school. Peter Vidmar, who actually won a gold in the pommel horse for the U.S. the first time ever. And I said, so Peter, what's your secret? Practice makes perfect. And he goes, no. Practice makes permanent. He said, obviously I had a private coach in high school and he did all around. He did the floor, he did the high bar, he did rings, he did the pommel horse. He said at the end of every workout, my coach would choose a different piece of apparatus and say, okay, now do it, and do it like you're at the Olympics. So he said to me, when I was finally at the Olympics for the pommel horse, in my mind, I had been here 10,000 times before. So it was old hat. It was just about repeated execution. So, you know, Chad, to your point, you know, how do you become perfect and spontaneous? His comment was, practice makes permanent.
Yeah, good. All right, y'all, I got to get on to my next one. Y'all are amazing. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Survey forthcoming. Thank you all. Take care.